Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my board game. This is not a, I guess this is a ranking, but not of board games. This is a ranking of cards within one of my favorite games, Terraforming Mars. My second favorite game, specifically, if I remember my list correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank my 10 favorite corporations and my 10 favorite project cards, which are the normal cards that you play during the game. I should talk is if you haven't played Terraforming Mars, this may mean nothing to you, but a lot of my friends have, so you might enjoy this. I should talk about my play style first a little bit. My favorite way to play the game is try and go for a ton of cards. You're definitely going to see that, especially when we go through the project cards. That I like cards that make you draw more cards. I'm also a big fan of colonies. The way I typically play and the way I like to play is with the Prelude expansion, colonies, and Venus. Venus is fine, not one of my favorites. Love colonies, love Prelude. Um, Typically don't play with Turmoil, though I do like the game that way. It's just that it is a very different game, and a lot of people I play with don't like that. So Turmoil's an occasional thing. You're not going to see any Turmoil cards in this. Um, I have one promo. I'm getting a few more, but there also aren't any promos in this as well. So without further ado, let's jump into the corporations. And I guess I did a top 11 because I'm going in what's it called, an honorable mention to Terractor. So Terractor, start with 60 money, and then every time you play an Earth tag, it costs 3 less. Earth tags are great, love Earth tags. However, point of Terractor, 60 money. That's fantastic. That's amazing. Highest in the game. So now for the real rankings, number 10, and this was almost an honorable mention, but and this is clear that I am not ranking them in terms of most powerful because this might be number one if it was most powerful, but number 10 for my favorite is Tharsis Republic, which lets you increase your money production every time a city is built, not just yours. And when you place a city, you also get 3 money, and also it gives you a free city, so you start off with that right away. Cities are great if you start going for cities, other people are going to want to go for cities so that they have good places to put their greenery, and therefore, if someone is playing Tharsis Republic, it's not like other people can be like, "Oh, I'm just not going to play that." With some other ones, like if you have that one corporation that you get good things, you get money increase when people play Jovian tags. Other people are going to be less likely to play Jovian tags. Not true with Tharsis. People are going to play cities because you kind of have to. Number 9 is Viron, which just lets you double up on one of your blue actions. And I've only played as this once, but it's ridiculous. The potential upside is so high. Sometimes it does practically nothing. That's Viron. Number 8 is Manutech. Manutech? Manutech. So the weird thing about Manutech is when you increase your production of something, you get that thing. So you increase your steel production by 2, you immediately get 2 steel. So the same turn that you play it. This changes this style of gameplay in ways that, unless you play with this corporation, it's hard to imagine. Because sometimes you're like, oh, I wish I could just like get one more energy so I could trade again this turn. And you're like, oh man, I just pay for a power plant and I get that energy right now. It lets you do things this turn that normally you would be planning a turn or two down the road. Manutech. That was what, 8? So this is 7. Listen, I'm not saying it's good. Number 7 is Polyphemus. Polyphemus. So someone who knows Greek or something will correct me on that. Which you start with great stuff. You start with 50 money, 2 money production, 2 titanium. It's fantastic. The special ability is a downside. Every time you buy a card, whether in your starting 10 or each turn, it costs 5 instead of 3. That is a huge downside. If you manage to combine this with some cards that let you draw cards, again my favorite, then it's great. It's fantastic. You get that nice boost to start. The reason I like it is because I like playing a weird corporation that gives you a big challenge. That's Polyphemus or Polyphemus, something. Okay. Losing track of the numbers. Number 6, Valley Trust. This special ability, your science tags cost you 2 less. Yeah, it's nice, but it's practically nothing. You get to play a third Prelude card with this. Prelude card is amazing. So fantastic just because of that. That's why I like Valley Trust. Prelude cards are great. You get to play another one. Amazing. Number five, I've only played once, and it was recently. I hadn't played it for a long time because I was never really interested, and that is Helion. I am usually opposed to going for heat production, and because I don't like raising the temperature because I think it's not a efficient use of resources. But Helion doesn't. Yes, you raise the heat, but then you don't actually, or you don't actually raise the temperature. You just raise your heat production because you're. It's just a big money corporation, which is great. Um, Also, it makes playable a lot of cards that I normally just don't even look at because they raise the heat, and I don't think raising the heat's all that good. Um, that's Helion. Number four, this is a powerful one. This is Poseidon. The people I play with tend to get colonies a decent amount, and every time someone plays a colony, you increase your money production. You also get a free colony, and the starting money, pretty decent. Um, yeah, Poseidon's very good because you are going to get that money production. In particular, the people I tend to play with, especially my wife, are obsessed with the colony Luna, which I think is good but not amazing. And so if Luna's in play, you go with this because people are going to be putting 3 colonies on Luna within the first turn. Usually happens in my groups. Um, anyway, that's Poseidon. Number three is Robinson Industries. I thought that this might be number one, but I've had a game recently that made it with a different corporation that was better. Robinson, you pay 4, you raise the production of your lowest production resource. If you manage to play well, and then you can start really ramping up your production. You got to make sure to get cards that will increase your money production so you aren't spending for money to increase your money production because that's not worth it. Same thing with the heat. You do have to get heat production things because you just want to be spending this on things that are better than money or heat production. But it's a really fascinating way to play the game. Really like it. That's Robinson Industries. Number two is Eridor. Eridor is fun because for 2 reasons. First of all, you could add another colony in. I love colonies, so that's great. You also get to choose which one it is. So, I almost always will choose Luna. Not Luna. Wait, which one gives you cards? Which one gives you cards? Anyway, the card one. And then every time you play a tag that you don't already have, increase your money production. That can get out of hand very quickly. You ramp up your money quite a bit. That is Eridor. And my number one corporation is Point Luna. Whenever you play an Earth tag, you draw a card. I had a game recently where I was playing Earth tags and drawing Earth tags and getting a ton of Earth tags, and I just played so many cards. It was crazy. Yes, you have to have Earth tags to make this work. Of course, it does give you one to start. There are some Prelude cards that give you Earth tags. But yeah, even if you get like 2 other Earth tags in your starting deck, I would almost always go for this because drawing more cards is great. That is Point Luna. Now moving on to the project cards. And again, I did try to make sure that I wasn't getting just ones that gave you cards or colonies because that's my favorite. So I spread it out a little bit for my favorite. Honorable mention has to go to Standard Technology, which not just because I like it, which I do, but also because I used to think this card was not any good. This is a fantastic card. It's amazing. Makes the standard projects very worth it. Just that 3 discount, fantastic. Science tag, of course, gravy. Love science tags. All right, so number 10 for real is the only card you'll see in all of these that has a Venus tag, and that is the Stratospheric Birds. Thing about Stratospheric Birds, they give you 1 point per animal on them. That's great. There are a few other ones that do that, but usually you need like the oxygen to be very high. Or something like that. This one, though, all it needs is for Venus to be at 12. Keep in mind, Venus goes up at 2% intervals, so that's 6 steps up on Venus. And that can happen early. If you get this online early, especially because when you're playing with Venus, of course, at the end of each generation, someone whoever was the first player raises something. Oftentimes, that's Venus. If they don't have anything, a reason to raise something else, they'll be like, just raise Venus. So if you can get this online early, ton of points. Combine it with something else that gives you animals, amazing. That's Stratospheric Birds. Number 9 is a card that, yes, it's fun, but also it's just powerful, and that's Jovian Lanterns. This is kind of similar to Stratospheric Birds in that, but for floaters, this one gives you 1 point for every 2 floaters on it. That's fairly rare. Most floater cards are 1 point for every 3 floaters on it. Also, not that hard. You do have to spend a titanium each turn, but if you can get your titanium production up at least 1, then you're getting a point every turn on it. Combine that with, it does also raise your TR, that's nice, but combine that with any cards that give you floaters, and this is amazing. I think I got close to 20 points from this one card, one game, working in other cards, in concert with other cards, of course. Okay, next one is the only one. So this is 8. This is the only one of these that decreases the cost of cards, and that is Research Outpost. I thought about putting Earth Catapult in here. I don't think Earth Catapult is as good as this card, because this card, yeah, it only decreases the cost by 1 as opposed to 2, but it also gives you a free city, especially early on because it can't touch any other tile. But early on, that's not much of a problem. There aren't that many tiles. You can find a good spot to put it. Decreasing the cost of the cards you're going to be playing is not as good as I originally thought it was in this game. But it's very fun, especially when you get to that point where you're like decreasing the cost of space cards down to 0 that normally cost 15 or something like that. Amazing. But the free city on top of it, amazing. Number 7 is one of only 2 green cards in this. You can tell I like to draw cards because I got a lot of blue ones out, and the effects are more fun on the blue ones. But this is Ecology Research. If you're going heavy colonies and you do that early, and then you play this card, increase your plant production by 4 or 5. If you can get that online early, that's amazing. Really helps you pivot your strategy to getting some greeneries out. Nice that it gives you, an animal and a couple of microbes, but not a huge deal. Other reason I really like it, though, look at that sweet 4 tags. Combine that with some of those other cards that give you stuff for playing tags. Amazing. Number 6 is Mars University, which I do like for its effect, but I also like that every time it's played, I say Robot House, which is a Futurama reference if you didn't get that. Whenever you play a science tag, including this one, you can discard a card from your hand to draw a card. That's amazing, because if you're going with a heavy card strategy, you're gonna have extra cards. There's another one that's kind of like this, but it involves like putting science resources on the card, and you just draw a card for every 2 science symbols you play. It's good, but this is better because you're going to have those extra cards, which means essentially for the cost of 1, you're drawing a new card. Fantastic card. I don't think I've ever not bought this if it's available. Also, it gives you a point and replaces itself. Amazing. For 8? Come on. Number 5 is the only one I put in here. There were a lot in the running, though, that gives you a colony, and this is Trading Colony. I love cards that give you cheap colonies, but this one, every time, so it gives you colony for 18, and it's space tag. That's nice. Colonies normally cost 17, so it's basically about the same thing. But every time you trade, you may first increase that colony tile 1 step along its track, and that makes trading so much better. Oftentimes in the games that I'm playing, a lot of people are trading. So if getting the cards that give you like extra trading fleets aren't necessarily that good, because if a lot of people are trading, then you're not getting the best return on your investment. But if you have this and you get to bump it up 1 every time you trade, fantastic. Number 4, Immigrant City. So it's a cheap city for 13. Yeah, you got to decrease your energy production and money production by a little bit. But every time this or another city is played, you increase your money production, essentially with the Tharsis ability. It's amazing, especially if you get it early. Huge upside and a cheap city. Fantastic card. I have played a game where I was Tharsis and got this card, and that's fantastic. At that point, you just start cranking out cities as much as possible, and you're covering the planet with cities. Number 3 is the second and highest of the 2 green cards on this list. And if you haven't played the game much, you might be surprised. If you have, I hope you're not. This is Research Coordination. Also, I like her expression. This is just a wild tag, costs 4 money. This always pays off, in my experience. I'm sure there would be, I could think of scenarios where it wouldn't, but having a wild tag is fantastic for getting milestones, for playing all these various cards that give you bonuses for whatever tags you have. Important to note, it doesn't count as a tag when you play it, so you can't, say, oh, this isn't a tag when you play it or something like that. Doesn't matter. This is a fantastic card. Another one that I would practically never pass up. Second favorite card in the projects department is the spin-off department. Every time you play a card that costs 20 or more, you draw a card. This is really fun because it makes you always go for those expensive cards because they replace themselves. Sometimes they replace themselves with other cards that cost more than 20, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to play that now too and draw more cards and more cards. This is a good start to the big card strategy. Really like this card. You do have to have other things to make it work out. But yeah, that's number 2, spin-off department. And number 1, which was not even a question, and this has been my favorite card since I think my first game of playing Terraforming Mars, when I didn't even have it, but I saw Jonathan using it. I was like, I want that. And that is AI Central. Almost forgot the name. Yes, you need 3 science tags. Yes, you got to decrease your energy production by 1. Every turn you're drawing 2 cards from this. Amazing. So good. And yeah, if you can, the dream is to have this and be Viron and drawing 4 cards every turn. I just love drawing cards and having all those options. So that is my favorite card in the game, AI Central. Thanks for watching. Hope this wasn't too long. Let me know, give me an idea in the comments of, and I'm not saying this for engagement because I don't make any money off these. Give me an idea in the comments if you have an idea of a game that I could do the top 10 cards of, my top 10 of, that would be interesting for you to see. So, hope you have a good one. Thanks for watching. Bye.